I've recently made the decision to go no contact, or at least extremely minimal contact, with the woman who gave birth to me and her husband. Calling her my mother doesn't really feel right anymore. Her husband is a complete parasite who I never want to see again. She has broken my trust, has no respect for me or my boundaries, seeks to control my life, and was extremely hurtful to me during my childhood, for which she will take no responsibility and denies that any of it happened. For most of my adult life, I've been in denial about this. I would tell my friends and anyone who would ask that she and I had a great relationship, but a few recent events snapped me out of it, and I've realized that our relationship is anything but great. It's distant, there's a lack of love and empathy, and I no longer have a desire to involve her in my life. Her husband is even worse. He scares me and makes me feel extremely unsafe, and the two of them are a package deal. I'm currently single, and I have no children, but I couldn't imagine bringing a new girlfriend home to meet these people. Even more nightmarish would be the prospect of bringing a vulnerable child into that environment, where they would be subject to the same toxic behavior that I experienced when I was growing up. So, I simply don't see these people as being a part of my future at all, even though they are technically my family. I've done a little bit of research on going no contact with a toxic parent. One piece of advice I found was to write a letter to them without sending it. I've done that, and I found it to be a useful exercise that clarified the nature of my relationship with them. On top of that, it served to solidify my conviction that this is the right decision for me. I also read about how it's generally not a good idea to announce your intentions of going no contact to the people you plan to distance yourself from. Doing so would stir up conflict, likely resulting in damaging outbursts, essentially teaching my bullies how to continue bullying me. I haven't said anything to either of them, and I don't intend to ever announce explicitly that I'm intentionally distancing myself from them. But conflict is going to be unavoidable, and that's causing me some anxiety. For example, the woman I used to call my mother recently had a birthday, and my siblings and I, in our late 20s, are expected to get together with her at our soonest availability for some kind of birthday dinner and celebration. The thought of it makes me feel sick. I don't even want to go. I've been ignoring the group text messages where she's trying to coordinate it. I honestly feel like blocking her number so I don't even have to see these communications. It helps that one of my two siblings is also planning on going no contact with them as well. In fact, a recent discussion I had with him about our family dynamic was one of the catalysts that led to my current state. He and I both feel that now that we have made this decision, we can finally begin to heal. The problem is that this is all extremely unusual behavior for me. I've always been communicative about these things. I never miss family gatherings, and I always show up for holidays and other life events, all of which leave me feeling drained, miserable, and without any self-esteem. It's only a matter of time before my absence is noticed, and I'm scared of what is to come next. I don't know if there are going to be nasty remarks. You're heartless. I've heard that one before. Or perhaps guilt and shame tactics. You're destroying this family. I've heard that one before. Perhaps they will send flying monkeys in the form of one of my siblings. Perhaps they will make an unexpected appearance at a public event. My job is public-facing, and they could easily invade my life just from observing social media and cause a scene. I'm feeling anxious about all of these potential outcomes. Does anyone have any advice for going no contact or low contact with a toxic parent? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. First of all, consider what your relationship with your siblings is like. Are those relationships you'd like to preserve? Are those people who would be understanding and supportive of you distancing yourself from her? They could be great allies or a real fly in the ointment for your plan to cut contact. Second, I understand why someone might say you shouldn't announce your departure to someone, as it would kick up drama. However, I think this may not be a one-size-fits-all situation. I think you might consider letting her know that you would no longer wish to be in contact and that you will not be reachable going forward. She might kick up a fuss, but at that point, you can block her, and it won't be your fuss to deal with. This would also be the point at which the sibling thing comes into play. Are they going to be supportive of you or complicit in her attempts to re-engage with you? I don't think there's any circumstance where this situation wouldn't give someone some amount of anxiety. This is a big deal and is the culmination of a lot of pain on your end. This is inherently stressful, sad, hurtful, and hard, even when you know it's the right thing for you. I think it sounds like you really did your self-discovery on this one, and it's great that you are pursuing this boundary to protect yourself going forward. Do you have a therapist you're working with yet? Is that something you'd be open to? In addition to being a good sounding board during big life changes, it might be helpful to have someone with whom you can process any fallout, any nasty early life issues this might dredge up for you, etc. In a perfect world, cutting someone toxic out of your life would be tidy, but in this world, it can be really messy, and it might benefit you to have someone to discuss it with. You might also find your upbringing left you lacking certain skills or tools that other people with different parental relationships developed. Therapy is good for developing life skills too. Comment 2. I wouldn't do that. That's your mother, regardless of what she's done or her shortcomings. It's your mother, so there are ways to manage the relationship and let her know in a non-angry, just a factual way of why you feel the way you do, and continue to have some semblance of a relationship without her husband. You know, this no contact thing is just kind of online as it is. Human relationships, aren't black and white. Now, for the update. It's been just over a month since I decided to limit contact with my birth mother and her husband. I didn't go to my mom's birthday dinner, which was a big deal for our family. My siblings were surprised I wasn't there, but didn't ask me directly. I spent the evening at home, enjoying the peace and quiet without family drama. My sister Kate sent me a message asking if I was okay. I told her I was fine and didn't want to talk about family stuff. Kate mentioned that our mom was upset I didn't come. A week later, my mom called me and I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail demanding to know why I was avoiding the family. I decided to send a brief text back, saying I needed space. My mom escalated by contacting Kate and my brother Jake. They both called me, urging me to reconsider my stance on the family. Jake mentioned that our mom was planning a family reunion for the upcoming holiday. A few days later, I learned that my mom had planned the reunion at a venue that was expensive. I found out through a group chat where my siblings were discussing the costs. My mom insisted everyone contribute, which annoyed Jake. Jake told me he was thinking about skipping the reunion due to the financial burden. I texted him to support his decision not to go. Kate, on the other hand, was excited about the reunion and pushed for everyone to come. I found out that Kate had been secretly talking to our mom, trying to convince her I would change my mind. I decided to confront her during a casual coffee meetup. I asked her directly why she was undermining my choice. Kate claimed she just wanted the family to be together. I told her that she was putting me in an uncomfortable position. Our conversation turned heated, and she accused me of being selfish. I started planning my own gathering with friends on the same day as the reunion. I sent out invitations, letting everyone know it was a casual get-together. The day of the reunion arrived, and I posted pictures of my gathering on social media. My mom saw the post and reacted with anger, posting a passive-aggressive comment. Later that week, I got a call from Jake, who told me he had decided to go no contact as well. A few days passed, and I got a text from Kate, demanding to know why I had to make things difficult. I replied that I was simply living my life, and I wouldn't apologize. I later learned that my mom was now spreading rumors about me to other family members. I'm just really lost right now, and honestly can't believe how everything blew up. It feels like I can't even trust my own family anymore. I get that my mom's upset, but I didn't ask for this family drama. I'm just trying to do what's best for me and not get sucked into all the chaos. I'm not sure how I feel about the rumors and stuff, but I guess I'll just have to deal with it. Still processing. I'm still processing everything, so there might be more updates as I work through it. To answer a few questions, my mom and her husband have always been the ones to plan family gatherings. I didn't expect the reunion to be so expensive. I wanted to avoid the pressure of attending. My friendship group and I have become closer since all this happened. Am I the idiot for telling my overbearing parents to back off and let me live my life? This happened starting when I moved back into my state for school from out of the country. My parents bought me a house to invest in and live in instead of wasting money on a dorm. I also have gotten back in touch with two of my childhood best friends. We've been hanging out regularly since I got back, and one of them, Ethan, who is 17 years old, has been more frequent in his visits. My mom and my brother flew in to help me renovate the house and noticed how much Ethan was over. I found out from a late-night confession that he has liked me for years and was waiting for me to come back. I will admit I also have a crush on him, but I know it is not to the extent that he does, but it's growing. However, we discussed that now isn't a good time for me to get into a relationship with school starting up, and it would affect our friendship circle since no one would want to be the third wheel. I also mentioned to him how my parents are very controlling and will limit financial support if they don't like a guy. We established we were just friends, and he still kept coming over to hang out, occasionally with our other friend. A few days ago, my mom talked to me about not getting into a relationship and mentioned all the above reasons I had told him before. I kind of brushed it off because my friend and I had already established it, but today it blew up because my brother, who is 14 years old, told my dad that my guy friend and I were going out and also that he saw us making out last night, which he did not. I hugged Ethan goodbye as usual, like I would any other friend. So, my dad got really upset and sent me a text basically saying not to ruin my life over a boy, to find someone in college, and to stop bringing him around the house, or he would cut me off financially. Then my brother came up to me and basically repeated everything my parents talked to me about, which really upset me because he is 14 and only knows how to mimic what my parents say. He even tried saying I was grooming him, which is laughable. Ethan is 8 months younger than me, and he's pretty much in the same grade as me had I not graduated high school early. But I get that due to mentality. That's also part of the reason why I didn't want a relationship yet. But yes, I realize that my parents really are controlling. I never really got to pick what I wanted to major in, or they wouldn't help fund it. I thought I at least had control over my own love life, but even when I try to be an adult and grow from my own past mistakes, they keep saying, "I know you, and this is who you are, so you're going to do this." And I'm really trying to break out of those bad habits that make me a bad version of myself. But it's so difficult when they keep saying, "This is who you are," over and over. And on top of that, there's the threat of cutting me off. I really don't know what to do. I thought I'd be free when I got to college, but this is another way of them controlling me. I know the only way to escape this is to not be financially dependent on them. So can anyone offer some other tips that would be helpful? Is this even healthy behavior at all? What advice can you all give me to get out of their control? Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now, for the update. The last time I posted here was about a month ago. I was feeling lost and trapped, and I asked for advice on how to navigate my life. Things have gotten worse since then. I started classes at school, and they are way more intense than I expected. I feel like I'm drowning in assignments, readings, and deadlines. On top of that, my parents won't stop asking me about my grades and what my major is. I feel like I'm being suffocated by their expectations, and I can't catch a break. Meanwhile, Ethan has been hanging out at my house a lot. He comes over to study with me, and sometimes we just watch movies or play games. It feels nice to have someone around who I can relax with, but I'm starting to feel like it's a problem. My parents have noticed that he's around all the time, and they've started asking me about him. At first, they were casual about it, just asking if he was a friend from school. But then, during dinner a few nights ago, my dad brought it up again and suggested that he might not be the right friend for me. I was so caught off guard. I asked him what he meant, and he just said that some friends aren't good for your future. I tried to brush it off and said that Ethan was just a friend from high school who's helping me with schoolwork. My dad didn't seem convinced. He gave me this long lecture about how distractions can ruin your life, especially at my age. My younger brother overheard the conversation and felt the need to chime in. He told my parents that Ethan was helping me with my schoolwork, and that just made things worse. My parents started questioning me about why I needed help and if it was just schoolwork. This is so messed up. I'm almost 20 years old, and I can't even have a friend over without my parents losing their minds. I decided to throw a small get-together at my place to get my parents off my back about Ethan. I invited a few friends over, and we had pizza and played video games. Just as we were getting into it, my parents walked in. I was so shocked. They said they just wanted to check everything was okay, but I think they were spying on me. They stayed much longer than I expected, and I was so anxious the whole time. I tried to keep the atmosphere light, but my parents wouldn't stop asking about Ethan. They wanted to know what he was studying, why he was over so much, and if he was single. I was so annoyed. After my friends left, my parents pulled me aside and expressed their concerns about Ethan. No matter what I said, they didn't believe me when I said he was just a friend. They said that I needed to be careful about who I hung out with, and they didn't trust Ethan. A week after that, Ethan and I went to a coffee shop to study. It was nice to be out of the house, and we got a lot done. While we were there, I got a call from my dad, who wanted to talk about school. I stepped outside to take the call and left Ethan inside. My dad started drilling me about why Ethan was always around. He told me that I needed to cut ties with him because he was a bad influence. I was so fed up that I just hung up on him. When I went back inside, I didn't tell Ethan what my dad said. I didn't want him to feel bad, so I just suggested that we meet at a nearby park the next day to hang out. We sat on the grass and talked for a while. It was nice to just relax and not worry about parents or school. But then, Ethan told me something that shocked me. He was thinking about transferring to a different school. I was so upset to hear this. He said that he didn't feel like he was fitting in and that he wanted a fresh start. I told him that I didn't want him to go, but I understood why he was thinking about it. The next weekend, my family went on a trip for a relative's wedding. They invited Ethan to come along, hoping it would ease the tension with my parents. I thought it was a good idea, so I asked him to come. At the wedding, my parents were super watchful of us. It made me so uncomfortable. A family member even joked about how Ethan and I make a cute couple. My parents reacted so negatively. They gave me these disapproving looks, and it made me feel awful. I tried to laugh it off, but the tension was so thick. After the wedding, my dad pulled me aside for a talk. He insisted on a serious talk. He laid down this ultimatum. I needed to focus on school, or else I would risk losing their support. I was so angry. I told him that I was doing well in school, but he just kept insisting that I needed to avoid distractions. This conversation got heated, and my mom had to step in. They said they only wanted what was best for me. I was so over them deciding what was best for me. I told them that I was an adult and I should be able to choose my friends. They reluctantly agreed, but they set some conditions. They said that I couldn't date until I was done with school and that I needed to keep them updated on my friends' backgrounds. I was so done with their controlling nature. Ethan and I decided to take a step back from hanging out. We both thought it would be better for my parents to cool off. I focused on school and found a new study group that didn't involve Ethan. It was actually nice to make some new friends. After a few weeks, my grades improved and my parents seemed more relaxed. I reconnected with Ethan later, and we both agreed to keep things platonic for now. It was a relief to have him in my life without the added pressure. Edit. I want to clarify that I'm not going to let my parents control my life forever. I'm still figuring out how to establish independence. I appreciate everyone's concern about Ethan. He is just a friend for now. The past mistakes my parents refer to are about my ex, who was not good for me. Am I the idiot for dumping my clingy boyfriend after he got cozy with another girl? My boyfriend and I have been together since September of last year, and quite frankly, our relationship has been a massive storm. To start, before we got together, he had a crush on me, but I wasn't interested. I had a big crush and a separate talking stage with another guy, But ultimately, I ended up being drawn back to my boyfriend because he was working out and engaging in my interests. When we first got together, for at least a month, it was new, exciting, and fun. For a month. All of a sudden, we had our first fight, then our second, then our third, and so on. We have these little fights, but the thing is, it just kept getting worse. By winter, these were the main fights. 1. Why didn't I get into a relationship with him in the first place? 2. Why were my crushes so much better than him? 3. Why was I always busy and never had time for him? Now, I talked with him about it, and I always said I was sorry, that I was wrong. The first time he brought up these fights, it was fine. We talked, and I thought that was the end of that. But it got worse. By winter, these were the things he had done to me. 1. On Christmas Eve and Christmas, he had me reassure him and answer all his obsessive questions about what and why I liked my crushes, all their names and details, and why he was never enough. Essentially just being really insecure and not letting me be with my family at all. 2. Yelled at me after hanging out with my best friend on a call while she was right by me because I ignored his message about how he didn't know where I was. I told him where and when I was hanging out, and I was half an hour over my limit, and all I was going to do that night was comfort him about my past again. 3. Proceeded to say I wanted a break, in which he agreed, only to get angry at me when I hung out with my friends. 4. Would consistently get mad and upset at me anytime I went to any social gathering or hung out. 5. After tiring theater and marching band rehearsals, would keep me up to argue and fight and wouldn't want to go to sleep angry. These are just some that I can remember that really stuck with me. The thing is, I'm not saying he's all bad or I wouldn't be in a relationship with him. To name a few good things he has. 1. Bought me expensive food and drink items. 2. Always planned hangouts and drove me around. 3. Genuinely comforted me when I was at the lowest point in my life for personal reasons. 4. Did my homework and essays when I was too tired. 5. Consistently complimented me with words of affirmation even after our arguments and at school. 6. Gave me even more gifts, telling all his friends about me. 7. Ultimately helped me decide what career and what college I'm going to. But the point remains, I truly believe I was in a toxic relationship for the first half of my junior year of high school. But the thing is, he has improved. He recognizes his insecurities. He has apologized for his past behavior many times. I can confidently say that it felt like I was dating two different people. But the man I'm dating still has traits of his old self. He can be very insecure and hateful. But now he takes a deep breath, calms down, apologizes, and drops it. I can confidently say it is not the same as it used to be, but I also recognize that he still has those traits and still needs to continue to grow. He has changed, he has improved, but tonight is when I couldn't take it anymore. We had a long talk, very mature and with no yelling. I said I still can't get over how toxic he was to me. He said, in a way, he still can't get over the past crushes I had. He also said something that I need help answering. He said that because he is changing for the better, we recognized that the breakup is on me, and for me to break up out of nowhere is selfish. He's trying to say that because he is putting in the work to change, if I break up with him, that's unfair because I don't care about his recovery and growth for me. I don't know what to do. He has changed, but I don't know if he will be like this permanently. I can't stand constantly defending him to my friends and family. But also, the breakup isn't really my fault completely. I'm so lost. We have decided to take a break until Thursday when we will meet up to discuss my decision. My head is spinning. I will have to give up all the hoodies, the sweaters, the photos, the love he and I have both shared. I know it's my decision in the end, but maybe someone has gone through this before? Please, any advice would be appreciated. Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now, for the update. It's been 3 weeks since we took a break. Haven't talked to my boyfriend since our heart-to-heart. Honestly, I just wanted to keep my mind busy with schoolwork and rehearsals. I've been on autopilot. One night, I was cramming for a test in my room, and I found this letter. An unopened letter from him sitting on my desk. Like, how did I miss this? Anyway, I opened it and saw a heartfelt apology. He was all about how he regretted his past behavior and wanted to meet up. Typical. He wanted to meet at our favorite coffee shop. In the letter, he also said he had a small gift for me. So, on the day we were supposed to meet, I got there first. He was a few minutes late, which is on brand for him. I was already feeling nervous. I mean, what do you even say after 3 weeks of silence? He walked in, and I saw the flowers. Not gonna lie, they were pretty. I was like, I get it, that you're trying. He had this nervous smile, like a kid who just got caught stealing cookies. We exchanged some small talk about how our breaks were going. Then he mentioned the changes he was trying to make. He told me he had been attending a group to work on his insecurities. I was surprised, but also skeptical. He suggested we start fresh. I mean, I wasn't sure about it, but I said, why not? He seemed genuine. We spent the next week hanging out, trying to rebuild some trust. It was a struggle sometimes, but we were making an effort. On a Friday night, he invited me over for dinner with his family. At first, I was like, oh man, this is fast. But his parents were warm and welcoming, like they actually remembered me from last time. Dinner was nice. We talked about plans for an upcoming holiday party. I was a little surprised when his younger sister asked if we were going to get engaged soon. He just laughed it off, but I felt this little stab of anxiety. Like, is that what his family expects? After dinner, we watched a movie in the living room with his family. It felt cozy, you know? But then, his phone started buzzing like crazy. He kept glancing at it. I asked who was texting him, and he brushed it off. Just a group chat, he said. I wasn't convinced, but I let it slide. The following days, he seemed distant and distracted. I noticed he was always on his phone during our dates. It was like I was competing with his screen for attention. One night, out of curiosity, I checked his social media. I know, not my proudest moment, but I had to. I saw a post where he tagged a girl from his group and called her the best. I felt this knot in my stomach. Best at what? I confronted him about the girl during our next date. He assured me it was nothing, just a friend he was working with on a project. Yeah, right. Over the next week, his behavior got worse. He was more evasive and secretive. One evening, I saw him at a local restaurant with the girl from the post. It was like a scene out of a bad movie. Instead of confronting him, I quietly left the restaurant and went home. My heart was racing. The next day, I texted him to meet at the coffee shop again. When we met, I confronted him about what I saw. He tried to deny it. Just a casual meetup, he said. Yeah, right. I decided to end things right then and there. He pleaded for another chance, but I stood firm in my decision. No way was I going back to that mess. I spent the following weeks focusing on myself and my studies. I felt like I was finally starting to breathe again. To answer a few questions, I broke up with him 2 weeks after the dinner with his family. It was too soon to meet the family, and I felt pressured. He didn't apologize for his behavior at the restaurant. The girl from the post was just a friend, but I couldn't trust him anymore. His insecurities got worse, leading to him lying about small things. I have no contact with him now and prefer it that way. I'm focusing on myself. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.